Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have a little bit of an unboxing and a comparison video for you. I have been using the Arrtx markers for a couple years now. They came out with the Oros brush tip markers, I think about a year ago, maybe a year and a half. Oh gosh, maybe 2 years ago, I'm not sure. They first came out with the Alp, which was the bullet and chisel tip versions, and they came out with a bunch of different sets of those, and then they came out with the Oros, which was the brush and chisel version. And now they've come out with a new version of the Pastel set of Oros markers, and we're going to take a look at it today. I don't know if they've changed anything about the markers themselves or if they've just changed the packaging, so we can find out together. I haven't looked at these yet, so we can all be surprised together. I'm so exciting. All right. As you can tell, I'm not a professional unboxer. Let's slide that out. So it comes just in a little plastic thing. I will give you a tip though. These like plastic box, you could save these, you could fold them up and save them for like gift packaging, but if you're a card maker, you can actually save this plastic for use in your shaker card. So it's a nice, it doesn't have any printing on it, so it's a nice product for any sort of craft you need, like the heavyweight acetate for, and you could fold it up and store it until you need it. So just wanted to tell you that in case you're a crafter as well and you don't want to waste. So let's take a look at this case. Oh, this case is nice. We have a little sheet of foam in there, I guess, to keep everything nice in the package. I was wondering if there might be room for additional markers. I bet actually you probably could do additional markers in there. I'm not going to put any other ones in here right now just because I don't want to get them all confused, but let's take a look at the color palette here. I have my other set, the original set of pastels. I also want to mention that if you have like the 90 and 80 set of the Arrtx markers, like the Oros markers, you're already going to have these pastel colors in that set. Same goes with if you have all the color family sets, you're gonna have duplicates with this set. So I just want to mention that in case you already have them. I don't want you to double buy them unless you want to, and then you'll know. What I did with this set, now this set here came with a bag, this bag here, and the thing I didn't like about this, but actually it had a plus and a minus. The thing I didn't like about it is that it was really oversized for it. But the thing I did like about it was that I used this for my Inktober, so I would have I had like a cup in here that I had my fine liners in, and I also had a box of 24 Derwent Chroma Flows, and then I could put like, I could stick some things in the side pocket too. So for that I liked it, but otherwise like it was just kind of a weird size bag to have for these. And they also came with these little stands that you could hook to the bottom of this grid, but I broke so many of them because I had quite a few of the different sets and that came with the stands, and they just broke on me. They were just so that you could angle your markers up at you like that. It wasn't a great design, I've got to say. It was just really fragile, and I'd rather have the money go into the markers than into packaging that wasn't gonna, or storage that wasn't gonna hold up. But I do like these grid boxes because I think if you have like cubbies, like the cubby units from IKEA or Home Depot or Walmart or wherever, you could just kind of like stack them all up, you know, nice and tight in one of those cubby units, and then you could have them have a display that way, or you could build something out of wood or foam core and kind of make yourself a really nice rack for your markers. So it really just comes down to what you like best. This packaging feels nicer than this plus the bag to me. It's a, I would say it's like a nylon with a kind of an interfacing, so it's nice and durable. You've got the bag here so that your markers don't fall out, but you've definitely got more room. I think you could definitely put at least, let's see, what is that, 8? I think you could do at least 8 more markers in this middle section, and it should still close. Or you could do a small tin of colored pencils in there. I think, you know, just put it in the bag. That would work. I like to mix my markers and colored pencils, especially the pastel markers, with some darker colored pencils. It works really well for me. So the challenge here is going to be not confusing the two sets. I'm going to look at the color family here, and let's see what we've got for colors versus what we had for colors. Now these are not in any particular order. I'm just going to put them like that, so hopefully you can pause it if you want to. Let's just see, 403. Do we have 403? I don't see 403. Am I? Oh man. Maybe they're a different color system. 417. Hey guys, you know what? I think these are different colors, guys. This is an expansion This is an expansion. Okay, so this set here is in the other sets, the set of 80 and 90, but these colors are new. So you know what we got to do? We got to swatch these out and we're going to compare. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in color order, I'm going to put these in color order, and then we're going to come back and swatch them. Okay? How's that sound? Good. Okay, I think I see why I don't do unboxings, because like, as I'm putting these in color order, I realized, it doesn't seem like there's as many colors in this set as this set. The new set is 24 colors, the old set is 40 colors. Oh, friends. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do a real quick swatch of the old set. Now, these brush tips are the fiber tip, so they're not spongy like the, they're not spongy like a Copic marker or like a Blick Studio or some of the other more expensive. Oh, you know what? I'm grabbing another sheet of paper. I just want to swatch a couple of these out on a different, like a more of a cardstocky paper, because gosh, that feels kind of, I think the Arrtx paper makes this stuff look a little bit lighter. So that's what I just did. Let's just see real quick. Yeah. The Arrtx paper does show stuff lighter. So you know what? Maybe I'll do it on both. This is going to be so long. Yeah, it's way darker on a regular paper. You know what? I'm going to go right ahead and just do it on this paper, because it's not going to show up on camera. I've noticed that on the, I noticed there was no swatch sheet that I could see in this set, unless it's in the packaging. Oh, yeah, look at that. They actually put the swatch sheet on the packaging. You can, oh, that's nice. I like it when they include a swatch sheet, but it's always best to make a swatch with the products you tend to use, so that you're, like, if you're going to use that swatch sheet to go by, you have an accurate set. Now, I've got to be honest, I rarely refer to my swatches anymore, unless I'm doing a tutorial and I'm saying this is the color you want. I swatch, you know, well, okay. I like to keep just like a little swatch in my watercolor sets, just so I have a good idea, especially if it's one I'm not that familiar with. But for the most part, I don't really use my swatches too much, other than just comparing sets for reviews and whatnot. I don't swatch colored pencils unless I'm doing a review. I don't swatch it for my own use. But markers, until you're used to them, until you're used to like how a set works, how similar like the ends are to the ink, it's not a bad idea to swatch it. I think the ends look a little bit lighter. Well, this one looks a little bit darker. I was going to say the ends look a little bit lighter than the marker swatch out, but that could be because on their paper it does look lighter. And maybe they're expecting you're going to use their paper with your markers. Their paper is like a traditional marker pad, so it's more for like layering and less for blending. It's a really thin paper that's kind of translucent, so like you could trace something with like a pencil or even with a marker, and then you could work on it from there. And it's designed not to bleed through, and it's also designed not to use up that much ink. So that's where marker paper and regular paper differs. Personally, I like to use a paper that's a little bit absorbent, because then it will blend. It will keep the marker wet, so I can get nice blends. Whereas a marker paper is more designed, it is designed for everything to sit on top, but it doesn't facilitate blending as much as it does layering, and it can actually get kind of streaky at times. And like I said, these original 40 are in the other sets. So both of these, I believe, are going to feature a brush and a chisel nib. I generally, if I have a brush tip, I'll use a brush tip, but if I don't have a brush tip, I use a chisel nib. So if it's a bullet chisel marker, I'm more likely to do most of my work with a chisel nib, because I'll like turn it on its side to get lines, and I'll use the broad side to get broader marks. Often I will, if I am swatching, I'll swatch with the broad side. Now these have been very well used. I'm trying to see if this has any damage to it. The nibs have held up pretty well. These types of markers, you can pull the nib out and reverse them, like the Ohuhus. They feel very similar to the Ohuhu, except for the billed style. These are a triangular barrel, and the Ohuhus are round. Their brush nibs are round, and their classics are oval. That just depends on what you like, to be honest. I think if you have smaller hands, the oval markers are a little bit more comfortable. Like I have fairly small hands, so like the Arrtx seem almost like bigger than these, and I find them to be probably some of the least comfortable markers. But I'm also not that picky. I don't really like, it doesn't really bother me to use them, but if I had to like pick my perfect marker, it would have an oval barrel. But if you have larger hands, you might prefer the larger barrel. If you're, you might also prefer a larger barrel if you have maybe arthritis or some sort of situation where it's just easier to grasp larger things. This is such a pretty palette. I did so much Inktober work with these, so I'm surprised they're not dry, because I did a drawing every day for Inktober, and I did marker as a base for most of them. And I like the pastel markers because you can keep layering them if you need them darker, but you can blend with pastels really easily because they have a higher alcohol content, and they're also lighter. So even if you layered them up and didn't blend, you still get a very soft transition. And they have some nice, really light purples here. And light purples, for some reason, are really difficult to find. I think maybe purple ink is not very stable, and that's why you don't usually see really big ranges of purples in marker lines. All right, so this is our set of 40. Is anybody still with me? You can let me know in the comments below. I'll be very pleased to see somebody still with me for the second half of this. All right, so those are the old style, old 40 Arrtx pastel. And this is a good point. So, like I said, these are included in the set of 80 and 90 Arrtx markers. So if you already have those sets, you already have these colors. So if you look through sets of markers you already have, you probably could pull out pastel sets, just like with the pastel pencils were all the rage. You know, you could pull out your pastel colored pencils and make yourself a pastel set. I mean, they may not be quite as light as some of the sets, but if you go over them with white, you know, you will get that effect. So I just wanted to mention that, because I know that you know, it's easy to get wrapped up in the fervor of everything. You know, when something new comes out, I'm lucky that I get to try a lot of these products and review them. And I don't have to spend my hard-earned cash. These were sent to me, by the way, from the company. I don't know if they're out. I couldn't find them on Amazon yet to buy. So what I'm going to do, I put all these in numerical order, and numerical order is actually, if you look here, it actually seems to be in color order. Starting with purples or blues, which is kind of strange, but I think it's fine. So let's just take a look here. So our brush tip feels the same. I was wondering if they had maybe changed the nibs, like, and gone with one of the more spongier nibs. Yep, these feel the same. The nibs feel the same. I think we're going to find that the color range is lighter, is more pastel. Ooh, that's pretty. That's not more pastel, but it's pretty color. You know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to see if these colors are in the set of the other sets. So I will check that before we go. Don't let me forget. Because these almost feel like they might be a little bit darker. The color matching is all right. Let me go back and look at this color match cap. Let's see. Is that? No, that one's not good. Oh, that's too bad. I would love, you know, honestly, just having the colors, like, that one looks pretty good. That's a bummer when the colors don't match. I don't expect anyone to ever match perfectly, because it's just the way it is, but ooh, that's a pretty color. That matches pretty good. So far we've got one that doesn't match very well. Ooh, that's a really pale, almost like pale lavender color. That one is not that great of a match. That's more pinky gray, purple pinky gray, and this is more purpley, just pastel purpley looking. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's just a slightly darker version of that. I'm going to look at the brush tips on that. Ooh, they feel good though. I mean, they definitely are a fiber nib. They're not a spongy nib. They're not like a rubbery Copic nib. Well, that's a pretty color. The color laydown looks good. I'm not seeing any speckling. That's 408. That's a pretty good match. I'm definitely gonna have to look at the other sets though, because Man, some of these colors seem familiar. I might have to go look and see if I have another brand that's using the same coloring system, so we'll do that before we go. Or I'll go with the other room and do that. I'll go to the room of Horde. That's a pretty color. That's a pretty good match, 409. I don't know. These numbers seem familiar to me. Again, a gorgeous selection of really pale purples, which have been, I feel like we've been lacking a set of pale purples. Won't it be funny if we've had these colors all along and I've just never put them together, you know, which is quite a distinct possibility. We've got this kind of vanilla color. That cab is actually pretty good. That's a really good cream color. Hold on, let's look at our, these probably all have names. One thing I noticed with some of the Arrtx colors is that sometimes the names match Copic colors. So if you were to want to buy a refill, although the Copic refills are so small now and just as expensive as they've always been, so I'm not really recommending anybody do that. Oh, that's pretty. That's almost like a shell pink. A little bit darker than the cap. Oh, pretty close though, actually. I like the case. I like that I could definitely sneak in like a little set of colored pencils. That's a pretty color. So I don't notice any quality difference between these and the classic Arrtx. The set of 40, I just looked it up with the bag and the crate there. It was, wait a minute, I just put that in the wrong order. $49, I think. Sometimes they run specials though. Those colors are very similar. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Did I do this one? Hold on. Did I do that one twice? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah, I think I did that one. I think I did that one twice. Hold on. Let me just see what this one looks like. Yes, I did. Hold on. Oh my gosh, guys. That's pretty. It's kind of like a dusty rose. Did I do this one twice? I think, is that the one I just did? Yes, that's the one I just did. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I got one more to do. Oh my word, guys. Yeah, I should have numbered these, but I gotta be honest, I don't really love swatching. Whoa, that's a really bright yellow. Kind of similar to that one there. That's a little more green though. 417. Alright. Try to keep straight this time. You know what, I'll pull the, make a little note. That's a really bright yellow. That seems much brighter. Does it to you? Does that seem much brighter? It seems much brighter than the cap to me. So this looks beautiful. Kind of like muted chartreuse color. Well, I guess the numbers aren't really going in color order, but they're kind of close. That's a nice color. Kind of like almost like a creamsicle color. Now, get some tealy blues. I don't know why they didn't put that one with that. That's kind of similar. Your chisel nibs do soften up after a while too, so if you like start using the chisel nibs and they're bugging you, they do soften up. And I mean, if you got a budget set of markers and your brush nib runs dry and you flip it over and then that one gets frayed, which I've never had that happen, but if it does happen, you could always start switching to the chisel nib. Chances are you're going to run out of ink before your nibs are damaged, but that's what we have for a comparison. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go look through my other markers in the room of hoard, and because I honestly, if the markers are still active, I keep them, because then I'm always comparing when I get a new set to test. I'll compare it with other iterations of both that company's markers and also competitors, and I see if that same marker has just been regurgitated by another brand, if that color scheme has been regurgitated. That way I can tell you what's the same and what's different. So that way if you already have a previous set even from another brand, you'll know that, you know, you can either, these will add to it or you can skip it. So what I'm going to do is go check that out and I will return. Okay, so I went in the other room and I compared the colors. Like I mentioned, the set of 40 is also available in the 90 and 80 sets. These are available brush or bullet tip with a chisel tip on the other end. This new set is these 24 here, and they are not available in any of the Arrtx sets. And as I was comparing numbers, these are all in the 400 range, and with the Arrtx markers, you've got the 80 set and the 90 set, and those are all in like the double digits and like I think up to about 200. And then you've got the skin tones, which are all in the 300 range, and then you've got these new pastels that are in the 400 range. I looked at the other markers that I have, and I didn't see any number correlations. I did have some 400s in the Biennial and in the Arteza ranges, but none of the colors matched. So these seem to be on their own their own color scheme. So that's kind of neat, new and interesting. Whether they're different enough to justify getting them, what I'm going to do is actually just trim this out, and we'll hold it up to the colors that are in the 40 set, and then you can kind of decide whether you think they're different enough to justify, you know, picking them up. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you'll be able to see from the video. You know what? I'll zoom in, and I think if I can keep that grid on my mat in focus, it'll keep it like that's pretty close. Which is also pretty close to, that's pretty close. Let's see, this one here, that's pretty, well, that one's different. It's similar to that, but it's more yellow. That one's very similar to that. Let's look at our purples. The purples I think are lighter in this set. You've got some nice lighter purples. That's kind of new and unique. This yellow is a little more mellow than that yellow. And by the way, these strips are, that's similar, but that's muted, more muted. That's a little more stronger. The strips are the new set. All right, so then we got some more purples here. Yeah, I think if you really like pale purples, now I would say these purples are kind of similar. Like those two purples are similar to each, whoops, those two purples are similar to each other. Those two purples are similar to each other. And then you got that one that is, oh, it's just about a shade lighter than that one there. But, you know, depends. Do you like to use purple a lot? You might like having, you know, basically an extra of those two colors. I mean, they are slightly different, but they're very similar. And then let's look at our blues. Like those two look very similar to me. Those two look very similar to me. Well, and that actually, it's probably more similar to that one. Those two are pretty similar, but this is a shade darker in the new set. That's a shade lighter in the new set to that one, but quite similar. I mean, it just depends on how much you like pastels and how much you would use them, I think. And then finally, we've got some yellows and greens. Like that yellow looks pretty spot on to that one. I mean, there's only so many colors. You know, there's only so many colors we can identify for alcohol ink, I think. That's pretty, okay, let's go color by color. So yeah, that has a match. This one, I would say no, it's like a darker version of that one. This one, I would say that's a pretty close match. This one's like a darker version of that one. Those two would blend together pretty well. It's a little bit lighter than that one, so I'd say that one's unique. This one is pretty close to that one, but I'd say a shade darker. Oh, it's pretty close to that one too, maybe a shade lighter. So it's kind of like, It's like this is lightest than that one, but they're very similar. That one is almost identical to that one. That one's unique. This one is unique. It's darker than that one. So yeah, we've got quite a few duplicates. We've got some unique ones. It's up to you, I guess. If you already have all the other Arrtx sets, you know, that one, those would be new colors. This new set would be new colors. And if you like this set better, you know, the case better. It's kind of funny though, because so many colors duplicated, it's almost like, I'm just trying to see rainbow-wise what we have for an arrangement. I mean, we do have a little bit of everything. Yep, some reds, one orange. Well, those two could kind of be orange. You know, I guess it does add on to this, but I just feel like some of the colors are a little close together. But I really like this case a lot. So I was also, like I mentioned, you could take a set of 12 pencils. Like I like to use the ChromaFlow with these. I'll show you some artwork that I did with these sets. I showed this in a paper video recently, but because I did use the Arrtx markers. So I did with the pastels. I used, so these in this sketchbook are this version of the Arrtx markers, this 40 pastel set. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because sometimes things don't want to focus really well if I'm zoomed in. Hopefully that, oh come on. Come on, focus. Let me get that grid in the background, that should help. Okay, so this was done with the Arrtx pastel markers and I did ChromaFlow on top. I had this package of 24 in my sketching bag with a set of 40 Arrtx markers. This bag here that came with the 40 markers. It was great for fitting that. I also had a few, like I had a black marker and I think I had a couple shades of gray, like a 30%, a 50%, and a 70% or something, just so I could, if I didn't have a good enough option in the pastel markers, because it's a limited value range, meaning light, how dark or light it is, I would have something that I could shade with. That was with some water-based markers. This one was with the Arrtx pastel markers, the 40 set, and then I used some ChromaFlow pencils. This was with the Arrtx markers, and then I had those gray ones that I told you I added to my stash, and a little bit of pencil. So you could see that using the pastel markers with pencil on top just works really well. Actually, I think I did that one. That might have been a different brand of markers, but yeah, I think that was actually the Ohuhu markers. But you know, I think it's a really good option. So what you can do is you could take like a 12 set and you could tuck it in the pocket here. It's going to stick out on the top of it, but if you're, you know, hang on to it like that, it's going to be fine. It's not going to go anywhere. Actually, I mean, I think you throw it in your bag or even just carry it with your hand, like that one hand, and not worry about losing it. But if you want like a 24 set, you can just kind of put that in like that, and you can wrap it tightly around, and then you can still snap it. So, you know, I'd just be careful not to lose. It's actually, they're in there pretty tight when you wrap around like that, so I think you'd be fine just to carry it one-handed as well. So it's a nice little sketching option, and I really like this. I'm not a huge fan of marker cases. I prefer usually having like them in a stand, and I'll just grab what I want, or just like a loose bag and I'll grab what I want. But I do like this because it's easy to put them back and take them out, and this is much less, like this is just so unruly and unstructured and baggy, and everything just would, I don't know. I mean, it had the crate in it to keep things from falling down, which I liked, but it just seemed really awkward. This is nice and tight and compact, and I could just grab the sketchbook and go. I could even put a couple pencils in here if I wanted to, like, well, that's a brush. Let's see. I could just take, like, you know, a couple drawing pencils and stick them in, and I could probably even put like a little eraser or pencil sharpener in the little pouch there, and you know, I just feel like it has a lot of versatility. So I don't know what this is selling for. I guess that would definitely skew my review if this was like really expensive or whatnot. But knowing that the set of 40 goes for $49, then I would think that the set of 24 would be less than that, even though it has a nicer case. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what this is going to cost when it comes out. But I like it. I think the markers are identical as far as quality-wise. It's just another range of colors. And if that's something that you would find useful to add to your stash of markers, then go for it. Just keep in mind they are fiber nibs. They are not the foam rubber nibs like a Copic. But for the price you're paying, I think that's kind of to be expected. But again, I haven't run into any problems. You know what? I'm just going to double check. We'll pull out one of these nibs and we'll look. it shouldn't hurt anything, but, so let me just pull this nib out and see if I can. Oh, I don't know if I can. It's so juicy. Ah, there we go. Yes, they are double-ended. So you can flip that around the other way if you're, I wouldn't just pull these out willy-nilly, but if you do fray one, overuse or damage it somehow, or I don't know, give it to your kid and they smash it down on the table, you can pull it out and put it back in the opposite way. And I'm just showing you that. I'm pulling that out to show you. I don't recommend you do that unless you're ready to change it. But yeah, they are the reversible nibs, which I like because fiber nibs do not last as long as foam rubber nibs, and if you have to buy a replacement foam rubber nib, you're going to spend a couple bucks. You're going to spend more than what these markers cost, so that's silly to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye!